Something shifted this year, and most drivers haven't noticed it yet. You could be doing what feels completely normal behind the wheel, and in less than a minute, you're looking at flashing lights in your mirror and a fine that hits harder than you expected. The scary part isn't just the money, it's the points, it's the insurance increase, it's the fact that you didn't even realize the rule had changed. Since January 2026, a wave of updated traffic regulations has rolled out across the country. Some of these changes are subtle, others completely flip long-standing habits upside down, and while every state writes its own rules, enforcement has intensified almost everywhere. Officers aren't giving friendly warnings like they used to. Automated cameras aren't forgetting, and in some areas, penalties have doubled. Let's walk through what's happening slowly and clearly, so you don't learn about these changes the hard way. The first major shift involves mobile phones. Most drivers already know distracted driving. Laws exist, but the definition of hands-free has tightened in many states, and enforcement has become far less forgiving. Today, in a majority of states, you are not allowed to physically hold your phone at any point while operating your vehicle. That includes sitting at a red light. That includes being stuck in traffic. That includes checking a notification for just a second. A lot of drivers still believe that if the car isn't moving, the rule doesn't apply. That used to be a gray area in some places. It isn't anymore. If the engine is on and you are in control of the vehicle, the hands-free requirement applies, period. And here's the detail that surprises people. Using voice commands while holding the device still counts as a violation. The phone must be mounted in a fixed position or integrated into the vehicle system. Resting it on your lap doesn't qualify. Holding it low near the steering wheel doesn't qualify. Even gripping it for navigation while stop can trigger a citation if an officer sees it. Fines for violations range widely, but in many states, they now start around a few $100s and escalate for repeat offenses. Some jurisdictions are adding license points for a first offense, which means your insurance company may hear about it long before you forget the incident. The second change is catching drivers weeks after they've already made the mistake. School zone speed enforcement has expanded in many regions, and automated cameras are now active far more often than people assume. It used to be common knowledge that school zone limits only applied during posted hours on school days. That assumption is becoming dangerous. In several states, legislation now allows cameras to operate year-round. That means weekends, that means summer vacation, that means evenings. The reasoning officials give is simple. Schools are often surrounded by neighborhoods, playgrounds, and parks. Children don't disappear when the bell stops ringing. Here's how this becomes expensive quickly. Imagine you commute daily through the same reduced speed corridor. You're going 5 or 6 miles per hour above the posted limit. Thinking enforcement is inactive because it's July. The camera doesn't forget. Each pass can generate a separate citation. By the time the first notice arrives in your mailbox, you may have already triggered several more, and these are not small penalties. Automated enforcement fines often fall in the mid-hundreds per incident. They can stack fast, especially if you repeat the same route every day. Now we get to a rule that feels almost unfair at first glance: left lane discipline. For years, people joked about slow drivers in the fast lane. In many places, that joke is turning into a ticket. States have begun strictly enforcing keep right except to pass laws. This means the left lane on multi-lane highways is designated for overtaking slower traffic, not for cruising indefinitely. Even if you are traveling at the posted speed limit, remaining in the left lane without actively passing can be considered impeding the normal flow of traffic. This is the part that frustrates drivers. You might think, I'm going the speed limit. I'm not speeding. Why should I move? But the law in many jurisdictions now prioritizes lane function over individual speed choice. The expectation is simple: pass, then return to the right. Officers are watching for drivers who sit in the left lane with clear space ahead, while vehicles accumulate behind them. Penalties can include fines in the hundreds of dollars and, in some states, points on your driving record. The logic behind this shift is tied to crash statistics. Transportation agencies argue that unnecessary lane blocking increases aggressive passing, sudden lane changes, and road rage incidents. Whether or not drivers agree, enforcement is happening. Another major update involves turning right at a red light. For decades, right on red has been a near universal assumption in most of the country unless a sign specifically prohibits it. That assumption is weakening in several urban centers, cities including New York City, Los Angeles, Seattle and Chicago have expanded restrictions in dense downtown zones and high pedestrian corridors. In certain areas, the default expectation is shifting toward no turn on red unless signage clearly permits it. Why? Pedestrian safety. Studies in crowded intersections have shown that drivers focusing on traffic gaps sometimes overlook people stepping into crosswalks. As a result, municipalities are redesigning intersections and modifying default turning permissions. The problem for drivers is inconsistency. Some entry points to restricted zones are clearly marked. Others rely on posted notices that are easy to miss. Automated red light cameras are frequently used to enforce these rules. So the first sign of trouble may be an envelope arriving weeks later. Let's talk about crosswalks. More broadly, pedestrian right-of-way laws are being interpreted more strictly than ever in many states. Pedestrians in marked and even unmarked crosswalks are being granted near absolute priority. Here's what that means in practice. If someone is standing at the curb and appears ready to cross, you may be legally required to stop. Rolling slowly forward while gesturing them across could be considered a failure to yield. The expectation is a full stop until the pedestrian has safely crossed your lane. This shift reflects rising pedestrian injury rates in urban environments. Lawmakers are responding with tougher statutes and higher fines. In some places, failing to yield can lead to mandatory traffic school, license points, and significant financial penalties. Another area seeing serious change is bike lane enforcement. Urban planning has added more dedicated cycling infrastructure, and officials are protecting those lanes aggressively. Briefly stopping in a bike lane to drop off a passenger or run inside a store may now carry consequences beyond a simple ticket. Asterisk, in certain cities and states, vehicles obstructing bike lanes can be towed almost immediately. The rationale is that blocked lanes force cyclists into vehicle traffic, increasing crash risk. Towing fees, storage charges, and citations combined can turn a 30-second stop into a several $100 ordeal. Drivers are also being affected by updated idling restrictions. Environmental concerns and neighborhood noise complaints have pushed some states to enforce limits on how long a parked vehicle can remain running. While enforcement is often complaint-based, fines can be issued if you exceed allowed time limits, commonly around 3 to 5 minutes. This matters in winter and summer months when drivers warm or cool their cars before departure. Some regions provide exceptions for extreme temperatures, but not all. Assuming it's harmless could be expensive if a neighbor reports it. Dash cameras, once universally praised as protective tools, are also under closer scrutiny. Certain states now regulate exactly where windshield-mounted devices can be placed. If the camera extends too far into the driver's field of view, it may be classified as an obstruction. That means a device mounted casually in the middle of the windshield could result in a citation. Manufacturers often provide placement guidance aligned with state regulations, but not all drivers review those instructions carefully. Move-over laws have expanded too. Most drivers understand the requirement to change lanes or slow down for police vehicles and ambulances with flashing lights. Newer laws in several states broaden that requirement to include tow trucks, highway maintenance vehicles, and even disabled vehicles displaying hazard lights. Asterisk, failing to move over when safe to do so, or failing to significantly reduce speed, can lead to steep fines and points. The expansion is meant to protect roadside workers and stranded motorists who face significant risk from passing traffic. Finally, one of the most controversial shifts involves income-based fines in a handful of states. Places like California, Oregon, Washington, New York, Illinois, and Vermont are experimenting with sliding scale penalty systems for certain violations. Under these systems, the cost of a ticket may be adjusted based on documented income. Supporters argue that flat fines disproportionately burden lower-income drivers. Critics raise privacy concerns and fairness questions. Regardless of the debate, the mechanism represents a significant philosophical change in traffic enforcement. All of these developments share one theme. The margin for casual habits is shrinking. What felt routine in 2024 or 2025 may now carry a penalty in 2026. Enforcement tools are more automated. Officers are operating under clearer mandates, and public tolerance for behaviors perceived as unsafe has shifted. The most important takeaway is not panic, it's awareness. Traffic law is constantly evolving. Checking your state's official transportation or motor vehicle website periodically can prevent unpleasant surprises. Even small adjustments, mounting your phone properly, returning to the right lane after passing, pausing fully at crosswalks can protect you from significant costs. Driving has always required attention. Now it also requires updated knowledge. A habit that seems harmless can trigger consequences in seconds. Staying informed may be the simplest way to protect both your license and your wallet in a landscape that is changing faster than most drivers realize.